Hi Stampers! Welcome back to another quick and inspiring card making session with me. This week we are working with the Lavender collection, and today's card, let me show it to you, is right here. And we're using the Perennial Postage stamp set with the great sentiments, and it coordinates with the Perennial Postage Dies. But of course, these dies are an excellent addition to your stash because they go with everything and they're a lot of fun to use. And you'll see that in today's card, I hope. So we're going to use the rectangle and the large square and the small square in today's card. So let me bring in the supplies. We have a card base of gorgeous grape, and I'm using Very Vanilla for my stamping pieces, one for the inside and one for the front. And we're using some of the Perennial Lavender Designer Series paper. So this is the paper that we're using, and let me show you the flip side just so you know. So it's one with the purple, the solid purple, and the pretty little flowers. But we're going to use this side. So I went ahead and I cut out some pieces of the paper. So I'm going to end up with, there's a rectangle and there are two little squares. And then I saved a couple of scraps so we could do it together. And I also cut out one large square in Highland Heather. So those pieces are done, but I wanted to share how to cut out these other pieces. So I'm going to bring my machine in and we'll do that together very quickly. Okay, so I have the platform, which is numbered 1, and then I have the thin platform number 2, and then I have a cutting plate, and then I'm going to bring in my pretty paper and I'm going to cut out the rectangle and the square. So I'm just going to sandwich that in and go ahead and cut those out. So there are the two pieces that I just cut out. So since I have my machine out, we're also going to do a little embossing. So let me bring that in really quick. So we're going to take our white card piece and we're going to put it in with the Stampin' Up logo on the front. And this is a horizontal card, so I'm laying my cardstock in that way. And I'm going to sandwich it in with platform number 4 and run that through. And I also want to texturize the little square that we cut out of Highland Heather. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in and run that through the machine. So if you ever have any questions about embossing or die cutting, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I'll be sure to answer. I normally do fast forward through that, but I wanted to, every once in a while, I like to show you exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so let's bring in our pieces again. We got our card base. We have a front piece that we ran through the exposed brick embossing folder. We have 2 of the larger rectangles that we cut out of the Designer Series paper. And then we have 3 of the little squares that we ran through. And the larger square we ran through we cut it out with the postage die, and then we embossed it with the exposed brick embossing folder. Okay, we have one more square to cut out, but before I cut it out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp. So I'm going to bring in Gorgeous Grape, and I'm going to change this one up. I'm going to stamp Big Hugs. And I stamped in the middle of this because I really didn't have a little scrap to use. I'm going to cut this out with a little square. The reason I stamped in the middle is because I can use this piece as a layer in one of my future cards. The hole in the middle won't matter if I cover it up with whatever card that I'm making. So let me go ahead and cut this out and I will be right back. Okay, that's our little square that we cut out. And let's bring in all our pieces and we're going to start gluing. So let me show you the layout. We're going to have that piece up there and that piece there. And then we have our 3 squares on the bottom. And then we have these 2 pieces. And these 2 pieces are going to be glued together. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those 2 pieces right now. Just like that. And now I'm going to glue these pieces on. I'm going to start with the 2 rectangles first. So you see I just have a teeny tiny border of the very vanilla showing. And now these pieces, I'm going to lay the outside pieces, the left and the right, and they're going to be centered right in the middle of that rectangle. And then this one's going to go right in the middle. Okay, this one here I'm going to pop up on dimensionals. I'm going to lay that right in the center. Okay, now I'm going to glue that onto the front of our card base. I'm going to add a bow, and then I'm going to add some embellishments in the blank space of that center vanilla square. I attach that with a glue dot. Now I'm bringing in those pretty purple sequins, and we're just going to add a few here and there. So on the inside we're going to stamp with Shaded Spruce, Berry Burst, and Gorgeous Grape. So I'm going to use the Painted Lavender stamps. I'm going to use this grassy stamp right there, and then I'm going to use that flower image. Okay. I'm going to stamp some Berry Burst flowers and some Gorgeous Grape flowers. And then the sentiment I'm going to use is I can't thank you enough. And I'll stamp that in Gorgeous Grape. Okay, let me glue that to the inside, and then we'll talk a little bit about how this card came together. Okay, so big hugs. I can't thank you enough. So I chose the colors for the inside to match the colors that's in the designer series paper. And I'm looking at this, and I think I want to add one more little thing. So I'm going to add a couple of butterflies up here. And I think I'll add a couple up here. Okay, so that's today's card using the Perennial Postage Dies and the Perennial Lavender Designer Series paper. And it's got a fun little layout and a little bit of texture with the exposed brick embossing folder. And then we had fun stamping the inside. So I hope you liked today's card. Please leave me some comments down below. Share my video with your friends, and I will see you next time. Don't be shy. Stamp and shout.